guys, Stephen Hill on my YouTube channel. Just woken up this morning, made a coffee, and noticed that yesterday when I put up this video of 2015's best albums from around the world, I said in that video, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the worst albums of the year. Didn't really want to, I just sort of said it, and everyone I've now woken up and gone, yes, you must. So, bowing to public pressure, that's what this album, that's what this video is, and it's quite tough actually, because it's been a good year for music. It's actually been a really good year for music. I think everything's been decent. There's been a few really good albums. It's not quite as good as 2013, which I thought was exceptional in terms of quality. I thought last year there were a few great albums as well. Overall it was just kind of okay. This year's just been fairly standard, I would say. Fairly kind of, no one's really disappointed, and only a few people have really stepped up. So it's been quite middling, which is good. It's better to have good albums that might not absolutely blow you away than just a load of rubbish ones and then two really good ones. Obviously, so I think it's like all right. So it's been quite hard to choose. So I've only chosen 3 albums I really dislike. Now, 2 of them actually were released in 2014, but they got their UK release in 2015. Ergo, I have picked them for this list, and I think that counts. And I'm going to start with a band who are called Sumo Cyco from Canada. Their album's called Lost in Psycho City. They're a Canadian rock band. I use the term rock band very lightly, because essentially what this is it's just a really cynical attempt to sell lots of records. They're fronted by a girl called Shay Sweetman or something, I can't remember, and she's sort of some Disney Channel girl who's turned into a rocker, and now she's in a rock band, and they've surrounded her by men in pork pie hats, basketball vests with chin strap beards, who play kind of sub nu metal POD late 90s, early 2000s nu metal cast off riffs, and she kind of does her best karaoke Gwen Stefani impression over the top of it. It's fucking rubbish. She's deeply annoying. Her vocal performance is that of a kind of bubblegum pop star who has woken up to the wild side. This album is basically a prepubescent teenage girl who's just smoked her first cigarette and thinks she's a fucking badass, and it's just so desperate. It's music completely made by committee. It's poppy in all the wrong parts and heavy in all the wrong parts, and as I said, just deeply cynical. The song Fighter, go and listen to the song Fighter just for a few minutes and listen to her whiny, awful nasal voice, and it's like, I remember No Doubt brought out Rocksteady, that sort of pop album which had like hella good on it, and it was really good, and I was like, oh, this is a really good album. This is the best thing they've ever done. I think I really like this, because I don't mind pop music. I've got no problem with pop music per se, just when it's done really fucking badly. And I remember people going, oh, should they be in Kerrang and Rock Sound now? No Doubt, because they're not a proper rock band anymore. And it's like, well, if the results were going to be what you got here on Lost in Psycho City, then you should probably be glad. The first track is the sound of a fairground. Like, it's like, we're in a fairground, oh, it's gonna be pretty crazy in here. It's like, don't open your fucking album with a fairground unless you're Insane Clown Posse. If you're gonna be like a wacky shit band and have welcome to the circus, all this shit, and then just play like lump and nu metal riffs with the girl going, ooh, I'm a fader, I can ding my love, dip a dip doop, over the top of it, then could you not do that? But you have. It's too late. Fucking rubbish. The next album I'm going to talk about is a comedy metal record. Oh, comedy metal, you worthless genre. A lot of people go, oh, you hate comedy music. You always hate comedy music. I don't hate sort of comedy music. I think it's really difficult to do. I think if you watch someone like David O'Doherty, the comedian, he's brilliant. See the sort of music that Monty Python put in their films, that's brilliant, but that's comedians doing music. Musicians doing comedy, it's a bit tougher, isn't it? It's a bit harder to pull that off. Wes Borland, I think, did Big Dumbfaced in between Limp Bizkit's first and second albums, which is this kind of weird album called Duke Lion Fights a Terror, and that to me was the perfect encapsulation of making a kind of funny album in the world of metal, because it didn't really try and be funny, it was just absurdist. It was just kind of inherently absurd throughout. did lots of different styles, didn't really pander to anyone. It was a massive flop, and but yet it had a real. I think it's got a real charm about it. I still listen to that album now and think, there's something just inherently odd about it, which makes it amusing. So Type of Negative are funny. Pete Steele's got a really wickedly dry, sarcastic sense of humour, and that comes out in the music. And it doesn't mean Type of Negative are a comedy band, but it means there are things in Type of Negative that make me go, that's funny. That's an amusing aside. But the music's really good as well. So that is, I think, what comedy music or comedy metal should try and sort of adhere to, but they don't on this album. They're called Psychostick. The album's called For Revenge of the Vengeance. Now, when I was doing the breakfast show at Team Rock Radio, some people came in who I won't name, and they said, this song, Obey the Beard, it's really, really funny. It's the best song you'll hear all year. And it got put on the playlist, like the A-list of our fucking station. And that's the only time that I've gone, no, I'm not playing it. I absolutely refuse to play this unbearable shit. It's fucking staggeringly unfunny, this record. It's like the wacky guy in The Office who wears like odd socks and then goes, I don't just wear odd socks, sometimes I wear odd shoes. I'm a bit of a nutter, aren't I? I'm mad. Look at me in my Bugs Bunny tie. It's fucking that level of wacky, desperate shit, right? It's like some people, if you stood in the queue with God when you are being born, it's almost like there's two queues. One queue, go left if you want a personality, go right if you just want, a jester hat and a boglin, and you can go, I've got this. And that's what Psychostick are. They are the most deeply annoying, wacky twats in the world. Their music is lumpen rubbish, like really generic groove metal, which is just an aside to their kind of gurning, face-pulling, mugging nonsense. Obey the Beard was the song that they tried to put on Team, which you probably would have heard a lot on Team Radio. And the joke there is that, people who like rock music, a lot of them have beards, don't they? I don't know if you've noticed that people have beards, and imagine that those people are in charge of things. Dogs Like Socks is another one. Which goes, I'm a dog, I like socks, I'm a dog and I like socks. Again, what they've noticed there, they've gone out into the world and gone, what can we write a song about that is an inherently amusing aside to the world and make that into an entire song. And what they've seen is sometimes, if any of you have a dog, you'll know this, dogs sometimes chew socks. So there's nothing funny about that at all. And just pointing out things, cups, cups and cups, cup, spots on a cup. Fuck off and die, you unfunny cunts, right? And it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't deliver it in this kind of sub-Seth MacFarlane, it must be a joke because I'm singing in a wacky voice. Fucking wackety schmackety shit, right? It's fucking awful. Honestly, I cannot think of anything less funny than this album. When I was 20, my mum, on her birthday, went to the doctors and found out she had breast cancer, right? She came back and told me on her birthday, right? So that's a pretty serious conversation. At one point she went, I wouldn't have minded the results, I just wish he'd gift wrap them, right? So it was kind of a little aside of humour within the turmoil. And it means that conversation I had with my mother about her finding out she had cancer is a billion times funnier than Psychostick for Revenge of the Vengeance. Fucking staggeringly unfunny shit. Go away and die and bury yourself alive with Evil Scarecrow and Elstorm and all those other fucking god-awful bands. Anyway, the final one is pretty obvious and you might have been expecting it, but it's probably the one I'm going to give the least kick into. It's Falling in Reverse. Of course it is. Just Like You by Falling in Reverse. Luckily for me, I am nothing like Ronnie Radke. Now, let me just start by saying I know that this music isn't really aimed at me, and in a lot of ways, recently I've thawed out to some of this sort of music that's obviously not aimed at me in the slightest. Asking Alexandria, I have no problem with. I've got no problem with Blackbird Bride. I've got no problem with A Day to Remember. I know they're three quite different bands, but they're all for the youth. You know what I mean? And I don't really have a problem with that at all. And I don't really have a problem with any of the music, especially on this record. I just have a problem with Ronnie Radke, who seems to be one of the most oddly unlikable, disingenuous, mean-spirited, nasty, cynical people on the planet. lyrically, this album is vile and stupid and crass and worthless and with no artistic value whatsoever, and totally and utterly inconsistent. I mean, actually, that is one thing I will say about the music. It follows Ronnie Radke's bizarre musings musically to a point where you just go, I don't even know what's going on here now. It's wildly ill-disciplined, this album, ranging from, I mean, if you listen to like track 4, Just Like You, which is a real kind of, it's that one that goes, I am aware that I am an arsehole, and then spends the rest of the song going, no, I'm not though, you are. And I take pills, that's the whole thing. The first one, Chemical Prisoner, I take loads of pills. He's always going on about pills he's taking. It's like, alright mate, you've got some fucking Nurofen in the cupboard. Stop fucking going on about it. And then it goes to this kind of like cheesy pop punk song into this really sort of heavy song called The Guillotine 4, the final chapter. I've not heard Guillotine 1 to 3, so I'm probably missing a lot of the context. I just thought it was rubbish. But it jars. I mean, on their own, music, if you took the lyrics away and put the later songs on their own, probably be nothing wrong with them. But they don't sound like the same band consistently. I'm all for a little bit of eclecticism, but this just basically is an ill-disciplined mess of a record. And lyrically, it is ridiculous. Pathetic, in fact. Sexy Drug, track 3. This is probably my favourite lyric. Sexy girl, I just fell in love. You should try it. It's a hell of a drug. Like OMG, you make me come complete. Complete, of course, not a word, is it? It's not a word. Complete is a word. Complete is a word. Complete is not a word. What you've done there, Ronnie, is you've gone, hee, I'll say come, hee, I mean come out my penis, hee, but I mean complete as in we're in love, oh, but my penis, hee. It's fucking staggeringly stupid. Desperately, stupidly meaningless. I hate Ronnie Radke. I think there is no way anyone should be putting up with that level of dross from the man. And I understand there's a lot of people that love him. Some people might see this. I look forward to your ill thought out and inarticulate responses to this video beneath here, which are always hilarious. Like, yeah, but he's done more than you did, and what about the people that nearly died and then he didn't because he was there? Rubbish. Anyway, they're the 3 worst albums of 2015, and it must be quite a good year because one of them I don't mind the music to, and the other 2 were released in 2014. So it's all right. I'll do some more reviews later, but there you go, little rant for you. I'll see you later. What did you hate? Let me know in the comment section. Bye.